Good morning and welcome to the Sunday service. This morning we're going to meditate 2 minutes. After the meditation, Venerable Sanat Bihari, the resident monks at Meditation Center, Sarachandra Buddhist Meditation Center. He's going to give a Dhamma talk. So right now, Venerable Chandasara is going to lead the Metta meditation.
Very good morning to everyone. Now let us prepare ourselves for the loving kindness meditation. Let's sit in a comfortable upright posture. Breathe in and breathe out gently for a few minutes. Now let us direct our loving kindness thoughts to all the living beings in this way. May all the living beings be physically well. May all the living beings be free from incoming disturbances. May all the living beings be mentally well. Let's continue spreading loving kindness thoughts in this way until we hear the bell sound. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Reverend Chansare. Now it's time for the Dhamma talk. Today, our speaker, Venerable Sanata Bihari at Sarachandra Buddhist Vihara. Just few days ago, I sent the message for him, and he said, "Bante, I will check my schedule and let you know." So next day he said, "Okay, Bante, I can do it." Venerable Sanat Vihara, I really appreciate you accepting this Dhamma talk and hope to see you in future also. Please, you can start your Dhamma talk right now.
Thank you, Bante. So first and foremost, paying my respects to Chief Bante and all the other Bantes there from the International Buddhist Meditation Center. Thank you for inviting me again, and thank you to the lay congregation also for having me here again today. So first, I'll start off by paying my respects to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Please excuse me if I sound a little bit weird. I have allergies and I had something really spicy for lunch too. So it's a very, difficult situation that I'm in right now. I didn't expect my food to be that spicy today. Okay. Well, I wanted to share with you a very famous koan, a koan by Huang Ning. It's called The Flag. Some of you might be familiar with it, but I kind of want to connect it to something else that we see in the suttas. Actually, we see it many times, but I'm just going to share with you one example of it that we find in the suttas. So this koan is attributed to Huang Ning, and I'm also going to share a commentary by Mumon. And it goes like this. Two monks were arguing about a flag. One said, "The flag is moving." The other said, "The wind is moving." The sixth patriarch happened to be passing by. He told them, "Not the wind, not the flag. Mind is moving." Mumon says, the patriarch said, "The wind is not moving. The flag is not moving. Mind is moving." What did he mean? If you understand this intimately, you will see the two monks there trying to buy iron and gaining gold. The sixth patriarch could not bear to see those two dull heads, so he made such a bargain. Wind, flag, mind moves. The same understanding. When the mouth opens, all are wrong. I really like that comment. So we can imagine a long time ago in China, actually more than 1,000 years ago, being at this Buddhist monastery, right? And in those days, when they were about to give a Dhamma talk or invite the lay people, they would raise a flag so the people in the village would know for them to come to the temple. We can imagine these two monks looking at the flag, right? And one of them saying, I think that flag is moving. And the other one saying, no, it's the wind that's moving. No, come on, it's obvious. The flag, look at it, it's moving. No, the wind's passing by, so it's the wind that's moving. And them bickering, right? Arguing back and forth. And we can imagine the patriarch, Zen patriarch at that time, Huang Ning, just, kind of walking by and seeing these two monks completely missing the point about Dhamma practice, right? If you're monks, why are you arguing to begin with, right? They shouldn't be fighting, So he kind of wants to help them out. And he just goes up to them and he says, it's the mind that's moving. We could talk about this two ways, right? I think on a very just like pragmatic level, I think on a very helpful level, what the master's trying to tell him is like, look how both of you are so upset now. Like, look how your mind is moving now. You're agitated. Your mind is disturbed. That's one way that we can take it. The other way is a more philosophical way or metaphysical way, right? The objective, the subjective, whatever, it's all mind, right? It's all experience. It's all in the mind. That's another way that we can take it. But I kind of want to avoid deep philosophical kind of talk. I just want to talk about the more pragmatic level of how our mind is always shaking. You know, there's a sutta called the Mahamangala Sutta. Mahamangala means the greatest blessings or the greatest fortunes. And in this Mahamangala Sutta, the Buddha actually describes like how to live your life. And if you live your life according to what the Buddha says, then that's a blessing. You're very fortunate to be able to live your life that way. First, he starts off with not associating with foolish people and to associate with the wise. You know, that's the first blessing, right? So this is really for kids, to teaching kids, you know, like your parents would tell us, like, don't hang out with those people. They'll rub off on you and you'll be a bad kid and you'll pick up their bad habits, right? So, and then later on, one of the other blessings is to take care of your family, to have a good family life. Another blessing is to have a job and be good at it, right? Sometimes we think blessings is like, oh, I'm a millionaire, I'm famous, you know, let me be very beautiful. But, you know, in this sutta, the Buddha just talks about like living a good life. That's a blessing. You're very fortunate to live your life according to the Dhamma. So very at the end, which is why I wanted to share this sutta with you, it says, Buddhasse loke dhammehi chittam yasse nekampati. Right? So what does that mean? What is the Buddha saying there? He's saying that you know, Buddhasse is just like the contact. Loka is worldly. Dhammehi is conditions, like the Ataloka Dhamma. You know, Labha, Alabha, Yasa, Yasa, Ninda, Prasansa, Sukha, and Dukkha. So these 8 things that are all of us experience throughout the day that move our mind, right? Gain and loss, fame and bad fame, praise and people speaking bad about us, and pain and pleasure. These are the things that are always shaking our mind every day from the moment that we wake up to when we go to sleep. Chittam yasse nekampati. The mind that is unshaken when it comes in contact, right? Buddhasse, with these things is the highest blessing. If you can have a mind that is not perturbed when it comes in contact with gain, that's fine. You know, if good things come to me, that's okay. If bad things come to me, it is what it is. If I have a good reputation, that's good. If people speak bad about me, right? If I have a bad reputation, well, okay. If people praise me all the time, all right. And if people speak very ill of me all the time, whether I'm in pleasure or I'm in pain, if you can keep your mind stable, tranquil, equanimous, that is the highest blessing. That's at the very end, right? We started off with just not associating with, you know, like foolish people and associating with wise, and we go little by little, like building your life. But at the end, it's like the highest level of the Dhamma, to have what we call akupa cetto vimutti, not to be confused with cetto vimutti. Cetto vimutti is like in the jhanas, in a state of sama samadhi, where the mind is no longer perturbed either, but it's temporary because there's no toilet in jhana. You have to come out of the jhana at some time and you have to eat, right? So once you come out of jhana, the mind again is perturbed. It's moved. But akupa means unshakable, unperturbed. This is what we're talking about right here. And that's the mind of the arahants, the ones that are completely free, right? So here, bringing it back to the koan, right? I want to focus on how these monks, they let themselves get taken in by, I'm right and you're wrong. No, I'm right and you're wrong. And they're arguing, right? Their minds they missed the point. They were trying to have some nice Dhamma talk, but their minds got disturbed because the other person wasn't in agreement with them. They were feeling some sort of pain, some dukkha, right? Or maybe they felt the other person was defaming them. Oh, you're not that smart. I know the truth and you don't. So when our mind comes in contact with all these kinds of situations, I mean, you might be like, oh, I don't know, Dodgers are better than the Yankees, right? Or you might be like, I like the Raiders, I like the Rams, right? And whatever your thing is, right? You're missing the point of the sport. The point of the sport is to enjoy the sport, to have a good time. You go there to have a good time, not to start arguments and fights. Then you're not having a good time. You're not really getting the best bang for your buck. So the same thing in the Dhamma, we have to remember that, yes, there's a time for analysis and debate, but we have to make sure that we're not being overtaken by disturbing emotions and disturbing thoughts and pride. The worst kind of pride is the spiritual pride. There's almost no cure for it. It's very difficult because the person thinks they're very holy, right? Like, I'm right. They have this kind of religious vigor behind them. It's very difficult to convince someone who has this kind of spiritual pride. So we have to be very careful that in trying to practice the Dhamma and trying to live the Dhamma and trying to share the Dhamma, we don't lose the essence of the Dhamma, which is to have this unperturbed mind, this serenity, this equanimity, to be able to share the teachings without being attached to what the other person thinks about it, what you're sharing with them. That's very, very important. I see it in many Buddhist circles all the time. People arguing, fighting, especially if you go on Reddit. Avoid Reddit, please. There's no real Dhamma practice happening there. Maybe like 5% of the people on Reddit are practicing, because it ends up people just arguing. Facebook groups too. You go into a Facebook group about koans, you'll see about this koan how many people are arguing about the koan, and you don't really know. And there's the real Zen. The real Zen is the Chinese Zen, not the Japanese Zen. The real all the patriarchs were from China, right? None of them were from Japan, and people just get into all these kind of arguments all the time. So I think, to me, that's what I really wanted to give an emphasis on this koan, because usually most of the time when they talk about this koan, they get into a metaphysical explanation about how the mind is moving, and that means that everything's created by mind. There is no flag, there is no wind, right? It's all created in the mind, and it's okay, yeah, that's right. I'm not saying it's not, but where's the payoff for that? Like, how is that going to help you next time someone insults you, or next time you get into an argument, or next time someone moves your trash cans, or the next time your partner leaves the toilet seat up, or your partner leaves their hairs in the bottom of the shower, or your neighbor moves your trash can? I mean, that metaphysical stuff is going to pay off in the long run, but in that moment, you need something more pragmatic, right? And it's this kind of like not to be taken in by debates or trying to prove that you're wrong, you're right. If you're right, you're right. There's no need to prove it. There's no need to prove it. You know yourself. So I guess that's all I really wanted to share with you. As Bante knows, I'm not very much of Dhamma talk. I like Dhamma discussion. Dhamma discussion is right, us talking back and forth, because that way I can see if you actually were paying attention, because most of you have your screens off. I don't know, maybe you guys are like ordering some Uber Eats or getting something on Amazon. I don't know what you're doing. But if we have a discussion, then I can be like, okay, they were listening to me and they weren't just on like Hulu or Netflix doing something else. So I think now is the time for questions and answers. Selvin.
I'll go, I guess, first. It's
Yes.
interesting that two things, I guess. Oh, by the way, thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. It's short and good. I really enjoyed it very much. So thank you. Talking about Reddit, today on Reddit,
Oh, no.
this jewel, which is basically what you were just talking about, and it stuck with me, which is right in fact, wrong in Dhamma.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which is basically, in a way, kind of what you were referring to. And I mean, I've been wrong in Dhamma so many times, so I'm not gonna say that that I don't make mistakes. But it's interesting. The framing was that in the American culture, we go with facts, and when I'm right about facts, then I'm gonna go at it because I'm right. So I just wanted to share that, and thank you again for that.
Yeah. Well, you just validated my Reddit example, so thank you for sharing that experience. I think Jill.
Hi.
Yes.
So I know I put that in there and then I was trying to type out a question, but so I'm kind of right now thinking about the line that you discussed about not hanging around foolish people.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes like that's a very, like, for me, it's kind of like, well, what is foolishness? And like, how do we categorize what is foolish and what is not?
Mm-hmm.
And because, I could make the judgment that, well, some of my family members are kind of foolish, so, but yet on the other hand, we want to be in harmony with our family as well. So I guess maybe how do we, what's a good way to kind of think about this from the Buddhist perspective?
Yeah, so I think there's different degrees of foolishness, obviously, right? And different degrees of wisdom. But, according to the teachings of the Buddha, a foolish person is a person that hurts themselves, hurts others, and hurts themselves and others. The biggest fool is the one who hurts themselves and others. The second biggest fool is the one who hurts others the one who hurts himself, and then it's the person who hurts others, and then the wise person is who doesn't hurt themselves or others, okay? So there's just like different degrees of foolishness that the Buddha shares with us. So if someone in your family is hurting themselves and hurting you, you're not obligated because they're your family member to, take the abuse and be witness to that abuse. I mean, unfortunately, especially like in like domestic abuse cases, that tends to be it, right? Like, oh, I love this person, they're with me, and therefore I can whatever. Or this is my mom, they raised me, but no one has the right to hurt you. No one has that right. Even, emotional, or what we say like in words, right? Abuse you. So we also have to keep that in mind. If the situation is to such a degree where you can't tolerate it and it doesn't seem like the person's willing to change, because the person has to be willing to change. That's a very important factor. Then, it might be, you might have to remove yourself from that relationship for some time, maybe not forever. Maybe that person then realizes it later that they're willing to work on it, although they're not perfect yet. They acknowledge the problem and they want to work on it. Then you can reintroduce yourself to the degree that you want to, but it's always going to require your own wisdom, right? And whatever you're comfortable with and your own experience in life. So I don't think there's one answer for everyone, but yeah, just because, someone says something that you don't politically agree with, you're like, that's a foolish person, I'm not going to associate with them anymore. Okay, we have to be kind of careful that we don't take it to an extreme. But definitely, I mean, the obvious ones are like if someone's abusing you in some way, then yes, you definitely have to leave. It doesn't matter who it is, your own mother or father or children, you have to do something about it. So I leave it up to your own wisdom, to study the teachings of the Buddha, look at your own life, and whatever you're comfortable with and whatever you think is the proper solution for that time, then apply it.
Thanks. Yeah. Sometimes things are kind of like under the radar and I'm sort of like trying to like, Anyways, thanks.
Yeah. Thank you for the question.
I have a question.
Yes, Richard.
Thank you. A friend called me yesterday. He's been depressed, and I'm going to go visit him today. And I was trying to think about the right things, if anything, to say. I could just be with him. And I think maybe that's what he needs. But I was also considering talking about the analogy that emotions are like the waves in the ocean and that we are the ocean. There are clouds in the sky, we're the sky, and let the clouds go by and, experience them and let them go. But at what point, I'm just trying to think, should I say anything? I was thinking, well, just go with the flow. I sent him a video, I don't know, about Rupert Spear. I don't know if you know him. And I watch different inspirational things, and I think Buddhism has great ideas, and I think makes the most sense to me. So my question to you is, at what point should I say something to him along those lines? He is religious, and so I'm thinking, well, maybe I can use that to help him, because he knows at some point he's punishing himself for guilt he has about things in the past. So at what point should I not, what should I say? Anything? I mean, I'm not sure exactly how to approach him,
Yeah, it's a difficult situation. I think that advice is best given when it's asked for, and we can lead a horse to water, but we can't make him drink. So, I think these are my two cardinal rules that I try to apply all the time. But I think you're doing the best thing, which is being there for them, extending that hand out for if that person's willing to grab your hand, then it's there and you're making yourself available. So I think just you keeping in contact with them and showing up is, one of the blessings that you're contributing to your friendship, to this relationship that you have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bhante. You remind me of Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upeka. So thanks for, I always appreciate being brought back to that. And, I sometimes phrase it as monkey mind, but I really do like the mind is moving. That I'm going to continue to keep that in mind. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vincent.
Again, if you have any question, any comment, we have little time still, and Venerable Sanat Vihari like to discuss a lot of things. He's a Dhamma discussion. So you can ask any question, any comment.
Yeah, go ahead and feel free to ask. It doesn't have to be necessarily about, this, what I shared with you today, as long as it's related to like the Dhamma, meditation, things like that.
All right, I have a question about meditation.
Yes.
I meditated for started in 2017, probably about a year. I don't feel the need anymore to sit and be quiet. I feel like I can do it at any point on demand in my life, as long as I call up that, as long as I bring that consciousness to me, the non-duality that who we really are. So that's what I kind of feel my meditation is. And it seems to be working for me, but I feel kind of guilty that I'm not sitting down and being quiet. Is that really necessary?
Well, we all have different goals in life, different things that we want to achieve. So, before we do anything, we have to kind of like ask ourselves, what am I trying to do here? And maybe where you're at right now is good for you. And this is all you need to do because this is what you've been looking for. And that's fine. But if you have other goals, then maybe you might have to do more or do something else.
So having quiet meditation with your eyes closed would provide what? Like if I had a certain goal and that would be the answer, I'm not sure. Again, if that would provide me with what I need, or, it's like, should I be doing that? I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't because I'm not, but I don't know. Sometimes we get caught up in life and is that what I'm doing? How do you know?
You don't. You just have to keep seeing and questioning and asking. I mean, that's the richness of life.
Okay.
Heather.
Thank you for sharing today, Bante. I actually had a question about spiritual pride. Coming from like a more like Western Christian background, it seems like I come into a lot of people that have a lot of spiritual pride, and I tend to kind of want to match that sometimes with it. And I'm trying to figure out how to engage in conversations without necessarily coming from a place of spiritual pride. Do you have any like any advice around that?
So there's two things you can do. I think probably the first thing that you can do is develop more sati, more awareness, more mindfulness, to be able to catch yourself, when that's about to arise, not when you already said it and you regret it. So you can practice satipatthana. So sati means attention or mindfulness, and upa means towards yourself, and thana means to place. So this satipatthana practice means to place attention like close to yourself or inside, right? Instead of our attention always going on the outside. So through the practice of this introspective meditation, satipatthana, we can begin to see the causes and conditions that lead us to the arising of spiritual pride and whatever we say or whatever we do with that. So I think that's the first thing, to practice mindfulness in brief. I just kind of wanted to explain it in detail a little bit there. And then the Buddha does give us some like cognitive tool to use. That's 3 steps. He says, before you say or do something, you have to ask yourself if this is wholesome for me, wholesome for others, and wholesome for me and others. While you're saying it, you have to reconsider, is this wholesome for me, wholesome for others, wholesome for me and others? And after you've said it, right? Is this wholesome for me, wholesome for others, wholesome for me and others, right? So in the beginning, it's difficult because you're not used to it, but later it becomes intuitive. If you do it long enough, it just becomes like an intuitive thing. So you might start thinking something, oh no, or you might be saying something and you stop yourself, or unfortunately, you might say it and then realize, oh, that wasn't such a good thing to say, But if you practice awareness and then you also use this tool, this skillful tool of seeing if something's wholesome or unwholesome, then that'll also help you do this. But it takes training, and don't beat yourself up over it if you catch yourself falling into spiritual pride. Everyone to some degree has it, Everyone's, even if you don't hear them say it, it's probably going on in their mind, right? You can't see their mind, but they have it there to some degree. So yeah, don't beat yourself over it. Just recognize it when it arises and make a determination that you're going to work on it and try to improve it. Try to improve on it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Sanatha Vihari. I think there looks like no more question, and so I will hope to catch you again sometime next month, April or May. Thanks again. Take my invitation and giving Dhamma Talk. Thank you so much. So we will chant right now page 4 and page 10. By the way, next Sunday, I believe 28, Kashanti is going to give a Dhamma Talk. So we'll chant page 4 and page 10. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them all. Deluding passions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them all. Dharma grades are limitless. I vow to study them all. Buddha's way is supreme. I vow to attain it.
May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and the sick find health relief. May all merits be extended to everyone, that we together with all beings may gain Buddha's way. Om Mani Padme
Thank you again, Venerable. Thanks all the members, BMC members. Next Sunday, as I mentioned earlier, Venerable Kashanti is going to give a Dhamma talk. And we're going to continue all the Sunday service every Sunday, basically. And again, I want to share this merit with everybody. We prayed to the Buddha, we chanting, and we listened to Dhamma talk. We discussed the Dhamma talk, and all the way we did a lot of meritorious activities today. So we share all the merit with everybody. May everybody be well and happy. Again, by the power of the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha, power of all the Bodhisattva, you all be well and happy. Thank you. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.